right. So today on the Entire Life series, we have Joey Young, and Joey is a new coach on the platform. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into coaching, why you became a coach, and what sort of a lifestyle it has given you so far, even though you're fairly new into the industry. Tell us all about
Wow, where to begin? First of
that.
all, Marty, thanks for having me. This is so much fun. I can't wait to share a little bit about myself and just help people to get whatever results they want to get, because that's what I do. I'm a professional results coach. I help people to work smarter, to work happier, and to get the results that they want. What I love doing is guiding people to more effective ways to get things done so that they can spend more time doing what they love, either at work or at home. And I've been doing this now for almost a year. You talked about how I got started. Well, I started out pretty much like anyone else. I was a struggling entrepreneur, right? I
Hmm.
always wanted to be someone who mattered, who I respected myself. But I was having a hard time with the businesses that I tried with finding something that caught on. I think that the entrepreneur's journey is very tough. It's very tough for different reasons for different people. But for me, I just found it very hard to get traction and very hard to get a viable business model rolling so that I could become someone who I myself was happy about and respected as a human being. And that's what I
Hmm.
was struggling with. And in May of last year, actually, right in the midst of COVID, right? I mean, I'm working long hours, I'm staying up late, and I'm just so frustrated with the results that I'm having because the goals and the plans that I had were not coming to fruition. And that's when I had a kind of a light bulb moment. I just you know what I said to myself, listen, Joey, you're being ridiculous. Your whole life, you wanted to actually be a coach. I was doing something different at the time, and I said to myself, the reason this is not working is because you actually aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not playing the role you want to play in this business. And so what happened was I just launched into this journey pretty much head first in June of last year to figure out how to be an effective coach. And I just started by telling people, hey, I'm a life coach now, and started getting some free clients. I started a group coaching program online to try to help people. I did a ton of research. I read a book a week these days to get more learning, and I'm going through a coaching certification at the moment as well. I'm almost finished up with that. I just tried to figure out what was the missing link there for myself as a person, and what it ended up being was that being a coach and allowing me to help people in this capacity is really what I want to do and really what motivates me. So in the past couple of months, I've gotten to the point where now I do have more traction. I have paying clients now, and I'm really enjoying helping the solopreneurs, the entrepreneurs, and the students to get the results that they want. And what I do is really help them to figure out the motivation piece. I think that's the
Hmm.
biggest key. A lot of people are hurting in COVID because they can't figure out why they're not as effective or why they're not as motivated as they were before COVID,
Hmm.
or even just in general. And that piece of helping people to regain their intrinsic motivation is something that I enjoy greatly. And that's where I'm at right now, is helping people specifically with that, and then optimizing the work to make it the most effective it can possibly be.
That's awesome. Well, that's actually a really good segue into the first question that I ask all of our people that come on here is how do you help people, and even for yourself, how do you go about getting clarity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think clarity is a tough one for a lot of people, especially those who need coaching, because they know they want more, but they don't know exactly how to get it, or they don't know
Hmm.
exactly what they want. And the way that clarity works is twofold. First, there's a self-reflection piece. There
Hmm.
are exercises we can work through to figure out what the missing link is in our life and what we need to change. But
Hmm.
there's also the action piece, which is what working with a coach helps you to do. They don't only make you do a whole life assessment and
Hmm.
talk about your values and your goals. They also make you and force you to implement the steps that you were either unmotivated or not unaware of before. And those steps actually create clarity. As you move, you find more clarity in who you are and what you want. And so when I'm talking to people who, just this the other day, for example, I was on sort of a discovery call with a woman who's trying to start her own business in the landscaping realm. And she tried to explain to me what her business was. It took about 5 minutes. And, and I don't tell this to knock her. I just say that when I finally got to the end, when she finally got to the end of her spiel, I said, so who do you help and what do you help them with? And getting that specified was her big takeaway from the call. She told me later, like just narrowing it down and getting to the point. And that's why she wants to work with me, because we can get to that clarity.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so the next big thing, and you were kind of alluding to it even a little bit before, was power, right? And so sometimes I talk about this as willpower. And there are going to be days, and you experience them yourself, when things don't go right, when things are difficult. And so how do you work with your clients, or even in yourself? How do you find that power to continue on, like you were saying, that motivation? How do you get that piece, or how do you reinforce that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that confuse early entrepreneurs are why am I not motivated?
Mm-hmm.
And what am I supposed to do today? And those two things kill willpower right off the bat, because they don't know why, they don't feel like doing the work that'll actually grow their business, and they don't know what they're actually supposed to do today that help move the actual business forward, not just their idea of what it should be, but like the pieces and the specific steps that it take to reach their long-term goal. So to answer your question, to continue the willpower, there's the main thing is tapping into what I call strong emotion. And I think this is something that's missed by most people, is to maintain motivation and to be someone who pushes through the tough days and remains focused in the long term. You need to have something that's pulling you, that's more than I just want to be rich, or I want people to like me. That's not going to cut it when you're talking about like those rainy days when no one's looking over your shoulder, and you could just as easily lie on the couch as you could work on your laptop and network and get the things done. You need to tap into what is an authentic, strong pull inside of you to keep going when the going gets tough. The second piece to that is obviously making a plan, and everyone knows about the classic business plan, but what I'm talking about, which we may talk about later too, is called the goal execution formula. And this is my proprietary system for achieving whatever you want. And in step 3, it talks about strategy, because there's a piece that's really important to motivation, and that is making sure you have a step-by-step, quarter-by-quarter, month-by-month, week-by-week plan that you execute that gets you to where you want to go. Because if I know by Friday of this week, I need to have one video done for my the next course that I'm offering, which is actually a real goal right now. I know that I need to find a way to get that into my schedule in the next 3 days, which is very different than what most entrepreneurs do. They're like, oh, I want to do all this, and I want to do this, and I want to try out this, and then they just never get anything done. And I wish I could show you more of my walls here. I have these papers up because each one of these papers literally represents a month or a day or a week and what I need to accomplish. And that's how I stay motivated and keep my willpower.
Yeah, yeah. So for instance, inside of EntireTask, what I always encourage people to do is, once they've created their vision board, is to go in there, and especially for the first 10 days, do it every day for the first 10 days. Have a look at that vision board that you've created and really burn it into your head, right? And make sure that the images that are on that vision board are really images that incite that emotion, right? Because if they don't incite the emotion, like you said, there's no fire, right? There's no fire to keep it burning. And then, going through an entire task and breaking out those goals from, 25 years out, 10 years out, 5 years out, 3 years out, you know, and right back to today, being able to see all of that. And one of the things that Amin and I, my co-founder, have found is so wonderful for ourselves, even, is being able to see it. We could say, oh, we got to move that out another week. We move this in a week. Oh, we got to push that out 6 months, bring that back in, down 3 months, so we can push and pull and move stuff around really quickly, because we know, okay, I know I can't get that done within that time period, right? And with the algorithm as well, we can see exactly, this is the most important thing I could do today. And I don't even have to think about it. I just go into EntireTask and I look at today, and it tells me that's the number one thing I need to do if I want to reach my goals. And I just love that. So that's really awesome. I love that you said that. So let's talk about follow through. What do you do for following through, right? And making sure you've now got the clarity, you've got the power, and now you want to follow through. What do you do to make sure that you do follow through? Because everybody, we talk about ideas, or everybody has ideas. But ideas are actually worthless. It's execution of the idea that's worth the money.
Absolutely. I think everyone can have the idea of a Game Boy on a refrigerator, but the person who actually builds it is the one who gets the money from it, right? And so I'm of the same opinion. I think for me, the actual follow-through piece is probably the toughest to quantify, because everyone needs different things to keep them going. Everyone needs a different form of accountability or a different form of structure to keep them motivated. And what a lot of people find is that having a coach is that accountability piece. And I think there's no replacement for someone who's meeting with you on a regular basis, on a regular interval, asking you the question that you don't want them to ask you, that makes sure that you get your crap done. I think that and there's a piece where you invest in that makes it even more real and tangible as well. I think though the thing that keeps the follow through going is I read this book recently. It's called The 4-Hour Work Week, and Tim Ferriss talks about something called dreamlines in that book. And what dreamlines does is it helps us to not extrapolate out to 25 years, which works for some people, but for some people, they just need to figure out what they want in the next 3 months. And by narrowing it down to the next 3 months, if I can get this done in that amount of time, then I'll have all these other options and opportunities open up to me. And so by focusing on that dream line of that, in 3 months, I want to be standing in this spot, doing this thing, or have this in my possession, or have this thing done, then we can focus on all the other things I want. That is, for me, the biggest thing that follow through is relevant to, because people latch on to, especially in the beginning when you're just starting out, they don't latch on to 25-year goals. They latch on to something that they can tangibly think of themselves doing in 3 months. And then the act of accomplishing that helps them to feel like, oh, I actually have the capability to do these things way beyond my expectations of myself. If you asked me, for example, a year ago, if I was going to be interviewed about execution and getting things done, I would have said, you're crazy. That's not me. I'm struggling to do my own business, let alone help other people with this topic. But Brendan Burchard, one of my favorite high performance coaches in the world, he said something: if you choose to, you can completely reinvent yourself in a year if you put in the work. And I totally believe in that, because any person can decide at any point to raise their personal standards, to do more, to be more, to cut out the things that they don't need to be doing, and move forward faster than they ever thought were possible. And then all of a sudden, a year later, you're like, who is this person sitting here? Oh my gosh, they are awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of this human being. And that's a great feeling. I think most people want that.
Yeah. And to your thing about the 3 month things, right? I remember just like 6 months ago, I wanted to go to Puerto Rico because I was thinking about moving there. And I'm like, well, I wanna go there and visit and just see if I really like it. And so that was on my entire task for like a year out. And yet I just went to Puerto Rico in January. Like this was like, you know, uh, about 6 months ago. It was on my year. But
Hmm.
it seems like when you put stuff out there, right? When you actually write it down, for some reason, it comes to you faster. Because I ended up like, instead of a year out, in January, I was in Puerto Rico. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that here I am in Puerto Rico and I'm looking at this place and deciding if I want to be there. And I'm smelling the smells of the jungle and listening to the jungle and putting my feet in the Caribbean water. And I'm like, I can't even believe that I'm here. And I thought that this was so much further out in time, right? And so that's the thing, is that even just the act of writing it down seems to it's like the universe kind of conspires for you, and things, opportunities just come up, and like all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can't even believe, oh whoop, okay, we're doing this, right? So it's
Absolutely. The power of decisions are
mhm,
incredible. I recently made a video about this because I think it's so true. When you say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, the act of decision cuts out other options and then literally creates the motivation that we want to achieve those things. Like going to Puerto Rico, like you need to be able to say no to a million things to be able to say yes to that one important thing. And to your point
100%.
about writing down goals, it's the same idea. If you're not writing down your goals every day, I don't believe you really want them. You
Yeah.
need to be describing exactly the future that you want to create. And if it's
Hmm.
that 25-year goal, great, do that. But if it's that
Yeah,
3 month
if it's a
sort of
10-day.
closer thing, get it done.
Yeah, yeah. If I've got goals on my timeline that are a week. Like this week, I want to walk 10,000 steps a day for at least 3 days, right? And that's going to go to a bigger goal of losing some weight, right? So you don't just have to have those 25-year goals. You can have like, just next week, I want to do this. And that's the beautiful part. So
Yeah.
tell us what your free gift is, because I'm really excited to hear about what your free gift for our listeners is.
Absolutely. Well, I love to add value to people. When I started coaching, I knew that I wanted to be the kind of person that gave away the 99% just because I wanted to honor people and help them in any way I could. So I've always taken this model. If you go to joeyhyoung.com, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see there right in front of you is the free giveaway. It's called the goal execution formula. And I touched on a few different pieces of it today. Essentially a 4-step formula for achieving whatever you want. And it's really good if you're someone who has a business goal or a personal goal that's going to take, longer than a couple of weeks. This is a serious goal setting machine that has templates for you to go out for months, and as far as what you want to and what you need to achieve. And as part of the giveaway, I've made videos attached to the workbook that you can download so that you can kind of get some guide as far as how to implement it into your life and how to connect it to what you're doing. So joeyhyoung.com, you'll see it right there. You can just download it for free and you'll immediately see the video pop up to help you with implementing it into your life. And I really hope that it serves you and that it helps you out in whatever endeavor you have.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm sure that our EntireTask users will appreciate that, because then they can incorporate it into, what they're doing on EntireTask. So that's great. I am so glad that you did that. All right. Thank you for joining us today, Joey. Have a good one.
This is so much fun, Marni. Thank you for having me. And what I always end my YouTube videos with is what I'll end with here. Everybody, get out there and create the impossible in your life.
Awesome. I love it. Bye-bye.